Yo, right on time, 8:02. Take that, waves, current, and ice. Don't be giving me no lip. What's up, guys? Happy Memorial Day weekend, week Monday, whatever you want to call it. As Kamala Harris would say, a long weekend. No, I didn't just go there. Listen, we got a really, really awesome Patreon lined up because it allows me to talk about things I would never really talk about. In fact, I have a bunch of baits that we're going to talk about tonight. Baits that I have tried, that I've used, and some that I haven't used yet, but I know I'm going to put some big fish in the boat with them this year. And I guarantee I'm not going to be making any videos. In fact, it was really tough editing the video from the Chesapeake Bay last week and putting out a video for everybody because I was like, dang, there's a lot in here I don't really want to talk about. A couple key things, but we're going to go through a lot of that tonight and really dig into, and I want to help answer some of your questions and whatnot. I see John Henning in the comments already drilling me here. 84. Dave, what's up, Brian? JP. We got Alex. We're going to bring Alex in.
What
What's
is
going on,
up?
Brohim?
Nothing much, just enjoying the weekend and having a good time. I'm excited for the show tonight because I'm kind of at a reset point in my fishing year. I'm real out of touch with my home lakes, and we were talking about the spoil show. I didn't get out this weekend, so
Well,
I'm
I'm
excited
sure
to hear
you
what you
had.
have to say.
I'm sure you caught a bunch of fish this weekend, man. I'm sure you fired up the boat and got out there, right?
Yeah, so us guys, I was telling Travis this before the show. So Saturday morning, I head out to the storage unit to get the boat out. I type in my code to open the gate, and gate no open. So I type in the code about 100 more times, and the gate still didn't want to open. So I had to take the tough pill, and I kind of pushed on the fence and wiggled my way in there. I wasn't able to get the fence open at all, but I got in and work on some tackle. So kind of got shafted out of 3 days of fishing, but hey, what are you going to do about it? Nothing I can do now. So I'll work with them and get in there and get back out there this week. So yeah, I'm real out of touch with everything. So I'm like I said, I'm kind of at a reset point. I'm going to kind of take what you say today, Travis, and see how I think I can incorporate that into what I'm going to plan on doing for the rest of the year. So I'm excited for tonight. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah. So this gate, like, was there a padlock on it or?
No, so you type in a code and it's an electric gate, and it has like a kind of like a garage door opener thing. It just pulls itself back. So my thought process was, if I get in there on the way out, you just kind of pull your truck up real close to it and it'll open. So I just got in there and I put my hand in front of the sensor, expecting it to just take itself back because something's blocking the view, and that didn't work either. So I sort of kind of broke in there, and I mean, I was able to get back to where my boat was, no problem. That because all I had to do is get in that gate. So I just worked on some tackle. I did some vacuuming, did some cleaning. It's kind of some stuff I'd kind of been neglecting. So I guess it wasn't the end of the world, but I certainly would have liked to have been out there going this weekend. I see Tom Pavlot said he would have busted the gate doing 98. I did think about that for a while. The conditions did kind of set up nicely. So
did anyone else try to come in while you were there?
No, I was hoping that was going to be the case because I know several of the, I've seen a lot of other people going in and out of there, and I could have showed them, like, even if they didn't know me, say, hey, here's my receipt. I could go unlock where my boat is right now. If you don't believe me, think I'm stealing something. But I don't think too many people want to access their storage unit at like 5 a.m. on a Saturday. So that was what kind of screwed me over there. But yeah, that was pretty much how my weekend went. So the storage office got some nice voicemails from me, and I'll be getting with them tomorrow to work something out there. Whatever, it's not the end of the world. So
dang,
could have been a lot worse. What have you been up to? You been fishing this weekend? You been guiding? What's going on in Manson land up there?
Yeah, so I had the weekend actually. So what happened? It's been a blur. So a lot of fishing on the bay up until Thursday. Eric and I went out and filmed a show.
Awesome.
And we filmed one of the Nico plastics that that was shown on one of the lives a few months back, and caught some good fish on it. It was a little tough bite for us. The tide was off in the grass. Yeah, it was out in the bay, so we fished some hard cover and we put together some good fish with it. So we like it. It's a go. It's actually gonna be a pretty cool video. We actually it's been a lot. I spent So Friday I was supposed to go into a little surgery to have my what do you call it? Vasectomy?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. And Thursday night I chickened out, dude.
Oh
I
wow.
don't want someone touching my balls, dude. And so yeah, I don't know what to say. I chickened out. I did a lot of research that night on Google
Mm-hmm.
and looked at different forums, and a lot of people did have a lot of issues post op. And
Yeah.
I'm like, now's not the time to deal with it. I just got a little, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. I don't
So
blame you. So
anyways,
like, so real quick, well, I gotta ask you this question. So you got a fishing question, you want to know about your boat, you go on like Bass Boat Central, or you go on the
mhm.
Hummingbird, the Minn Kota forums. Is there like a vasectomy boat central or
Yeah,
something out there
yeah,
like that, or is it just
here's what you do at any time. Here's a little tip. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this. If you're on Google, you want to find what other people like comments and
yeah,
opinions about things. I always type in the subject matter and then forums, FORUMS,
sure.
right? And so that's all I was doing, and just started looking through all that, and just the number of horror stories, and a lot of pain, and people were wishing they've never done it, and I was like, all right,
Wow.
I'm out. I'm out. I'm reading the comments. Anyways,
I know that.
so I had 4 days off, and the weather was terrible by us. A lot
I
of
heard of
rain
that.
and
Yeah.
cold. And so I used the time to edit videos, and I have about 10 ready to go.
Ooh,
All
awesome.
caught up, not caught up with the description part and the tagging and the thumbnails. Okay, that's going to be another day to do all those. But I was able to catch up with that. Hopefully, um, got some tackle organized. It's gonna be such a busy week. We have the Ike tournament coming up on Saturday.
Yeah.
I have guide trips all week long, then the Ike event, and then a few guide trips until Wednesday of the following week. Then I'm gonna head to the Bassmaster Classic on Thursday, come home Monday. I have Tuesday off, and then Wednesday I'm leaving for Wisconsin for 3 weeks.
Oh wow. Yeah, you are gonna be
Yeah.
busy.
And so I really couple things right off the bat. I got all of my St. Croix rods have finally started to show up.
Awesome.
Yeah, so last week I received I'm waiting on 2 or 3, but the new Legend Extremes are amazing. And so I was going to sell my old green Legend Extremes, but I can't part with them. Part of me, so my deal with St. Croix, without telling you the deal, is basically there's a lot of rods I get to use, but I don't get to keep them. And so the thing is with that, I'm in love with those old Legend Extremes still. I have 6 of the mediums and 5 of the medium lights. And so I decided, instead of selling those, just to keep them, because they're still great rods.
Yeah, they
And
are.
so now I have 6 new Legend Extremes mediums and 6 new Legend Extreme medium lights, plus an Extreme 7.6, actually 2, for some different techniques I'm learning about from the SmallmouthCrush podcast. One would be cracking a tube, things like that. And so now I have a shit ton of spinning rods, dude. And I'm super excited, but holy crap, the amount of, can you imagine me rigging all those spinning rods up a night before an event now? It's like going to be,
It's a lot of time.
it's going to be, just spooling these up and then doing the fluorocarbon
Yep.
to braid knot, and then deciding what kind of baits. So I kind of have it broken down to the medium light Legend Extremes that I do have, the new ones, they're 6'10". They're not 7 foot, which I believe they're going to come out with a 7 foot in the future. But
Okay.
so I got my 6'10". So I'm going to devote all of those rods strictly to straight down drop shotting. So now I'm going to have 4 drop shot rods ready to go at all times, which I normally do.
Yeah.
But then what happened was, with my 6 medium lights, I would have my drop shots, and then I would have to have a couple, Ned rigs and some finesse baits tied onto it. Now it's just, I got 6 devoted old Legend Extremes for different applications, like a Ned rig. So I got like 3 different Ned rigs tied on, and small high tech 2.8s. Like, it's the ultimate setup. I just got to figure out now how to, I guess, organize all those in the boat and keep things. It's going to help for guiding as well. I'll have set rods. But anyway, so back to the, I don't even know where I was going with this. I guess the fact that I spent a lot of time rigging up these rods and reels, getting them ready to go, because I wanted to get ready for that trip. Because once I get done guiding here, go to the Classic, and then head straight to Wisconsin, I'm in tournament mode because I have a Wisco event on Sunday. And so I want to have everything right. So I really packed up everything as far as baits I think I'll need, extras and things like that, while preparing. So in a couple weeks I can hit the road and hopefully have everything I need. But it really allowed me to experiment a little bit this past weekend as well, and share with some more baits I didn't even think about that we're going to talk about tonight. So here's the deal. I know it's a holiday weekend, so we're not going to have as many people live on tonight. Of course, a lot of people do come back and watch this later, all the Patreons. And so keep in mind, I will be talking about some of these. Okay, so don't get mad. And in 3 months from now, I'm talking about it. But there's a couple baits I really want to hold dear to and keep to myself for a little while, because I think I'm going to be able to really put the hurting on these fish. And I'm excited to share with you guys that support the channel kind of what we're doing here. So let's start out with, and then some of these you've heard me talk about. Okay. And Alex, if you see any questions in the comments, or you have any questions, feel free at any time to reach out. But I gotta go, and believe me, it gets better. Okay. But I gotta get the basics out of the way here. The big TRD. Okay. On the Z-Man Power Finesse Shrooms head. No weed guard, no wire guard, just straight up. In green pumpkin, yoga pants, or black and blue. This bait has been the #1 producer for fish for me this year, last year, and it's always going to be tied on, ready to go. It's not really a secret per se, because I throw it a lot. Most of my guide trips, we're throwing this. It's probably one of the most effective ways to just know you have a bait that's going to work, and I can fish it anywhere. I fish this in grass. I fish this on hardcover. I go through a lot of heads. Okay. My weekly, it's becoming weekly now. Z-Man orders is ridiculous, because there's some days during guide trips, especially with 2 people in the boat, I'm going to be breaking off 20, 25 of these a day.
Oh, wow.
So we go through a lot. Like, literally, I have boxes of this stuff. I got 40 jig heads coming tomorrow because I'm running low already.
Is that why you don't go to tungsten, because you just break off so many of them? I've always wondered that, because you've always kind of said lead drop shot weight, lead Ned head. Is that why?
A lot of it does have to do with that. Yes.
Okay.
So John's asking, how do you dye these? You really can't. You really can't. Ray, the rod decals, I want real quick. So let me, why not? We got all night. Let me grab something real quick.
All right.
Share something with you guys.
So, Waves, while he's doing that, I'll address your question about the shorter drop shot rods. I can't answer for Travis, but I know in one of the SmallmouthCrush podcast episodes, Matt Becker talked about a shorter rod for vertical drop shot fishing, because if you have a fish right under your trolling motor and you have a longer rod, you're just dropping that bait farther away from that fish. So that could be something for you to look into. Check out that episode if you want to know more about that.
So Ray actually, and one of the things I did this weekend, so Ray, and I think you can find these on, I don't know if he sells them, or if he can let me know in the comments if guys want to get a hold of these. But so he sells these stickers with line, and I put these on my reels, so I know exactly what pound test line is on my reels. Now, the only problem is I use 5-pound braid a lot, which there isn't a 5-pound braid sticker, and I use 16-pound gamma, which there isn't. And he can make these, so I'm not faulting them. If they just didn't have them. So for my 5, I use 8, and then, or I'm sorry, I use 8, and then for my 8-pound braid, I use 10, and then I just do the math in my head, right?
Sure.
And then for my fluorocarbon, I use 17 when it's really 16 gamma. But he also made me some stickers, which has really helped. You know, right now I use
I
these,
like that. Yeah.
I use these bands too. So all my
Yep.
mediums will have 2 bands and my medium lights will have 1. So that helps. But now I have like a 7.6 and a few other things. So I can take these stickers and, you know, tube, drop shot, Ned, Senko, worm, Texas rig, swim baits, and I'm able to put that on the base of the rod itself. So that's when it's lined up in your rod locker, you just have a quick visual. And this was kind of an experimental deal I did with him to see if they would stick and work. So far, they've been working. I think ideas we would have to, at least for my, like for instance, all of my, say, punch-in and flipping rods, maybe have it color-coded blue. And then, you know, it'd be my punch rod, my small jig rod, you know, stuff like that. And so, yeah, they've been working out real well. I've been certainly utilizing those, and I haven't seen them fall off too much. And so hopefully I'll be able to continue to use those. But so anyways, I want to get that out of the way, but back to the big TRD. Again, this is a bait that I throw all over the place. I throw it on a medium spinning rod with 8-pound braid. And then I've been upping my fluorocarbon line a lot lately. And due to the fact that I've been traveling a little bit out of my zone, right? Fishing some crazy, gnarly, not zebra mussels, but barnacles, you know, on the James River, to some bigger fish on Chickamauga. So I'm rolling with 12 to 14 pound when I'm throwing this on the spinning rod. Now, on the Chesapeake Bay, this is probably my #1 bait right now. And I'll throw this in the grass. Here's the beauty. Like, people get nervous about, if you work an exposed hook with a spinning rod, now, and I see this all the time on guide trips, it's hard. It's hard if you don't do it often. But if you get used to being able to really feel that bait and what it's doing down there, you can prevent a snag, or at least pop it out of a snag 80% of the time. You know, I get stuck. I'll break off 2 or 3 of these a day as well. But if you don't set the hook, here's the biggest thing I see. Guys are setting the hook on snags a lot. And I'm not saying you guys, I'm just saying people that are
clients
new.
Yeah.
That may not be from, listen, I'm giving them Legend Extreme. So they've never had that kind of feel before either. You know what I mean? Like, they're feeling everything now. And so they're setting the hook on this stuff. Even in grass, the whole point of this is to get buried in that grass. Because I'm working it so slow. I know when that grass clump's coming up, and then I just start shaking it a little bit. And if I can't shake it, I give it a quick pop, and normally it's free. Or even if there's some grass, I don't think it matters. But that pop, and then a dead stick, and that's when you get the bites. All right.
Yeah. So you got several questions about it right now. So where'd it go? So Brian Davis wants to know, what weight are you using for that big TRD?
Okay. So more oftentimes than not, it's going to be the 1/10 size.
Okay.
So if I'm in 8 feet of water or less, it'll be this size. If I'm a little deeper or there's some wind, 1/6. Rarely will I go to the 1/5.
Okay.
Okay. But I will. Now
Sure.
that 1/5, and listen, these heads and hook are perfect. Perfect for a spinning rod, perfect for a big TRD. I don't think you can go wrong with this hook. I mean, I've caught a lot of fish on it.
And then Michael Bloomhagen wants to know, do you use that big TRDs for smallies at all, or are you primarily using it for the largemouth?
Yeah, so good question. So I have not used this a whole lot for smallmouth. I like that smaller Ned. However, it's been confirmed by some of the top anglers out there, okay? And one of them I talked to his co-angler. He says he throws the deal for smallmouth quite a bit, the big TRD.
Okay.
And does real well. It will certainly work. I just haven't had the opportunity. I'm going to be throwing it a lot more for smallmouth this year.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So this comes from me. So Why the big TRD versus the regular? Is it just a profile thing? Is it confidence? Why are you choosing that 1 inch larger TRD?
Well, it's actually quite a bit longer,
Inch and a
isn't it?
half? Maybe.
Almost. Yeah, it's yeah,
It
I
says
just
4
think
inches. Yeah.
I really feel I think I can get bites on it. I haven't used it a whole bunch. I'm sure I could get bites on it. But the thing with that smaller TRD, especially for largemouth, is I think it looks a little funny on a head like this. I
Okay.
use those Z-Man Ned locks, which is a great hook for those smaller TRDs,
Yes.
but I think it's a little too small of a hook for largemouth, especially the way I'm fishing these.
Okay.
Um,
So John Henning wants to know, and I kind of want to open a whole can of worms about this color. So he wants to know, have you tried the deal on the bay? And for those of you who don't know, the deal is one of the colors of the big TRD.
have I tried it?
Yes, on the bay.
Yes. And that works fine too.
So why does that color work so well? Because I'm planning a smallmouth trip here in July, and I've started to do some of my preliminary research, and like I've kind of tried to keep in the back of my mind some things you say when you're preparing for an event, and one of them is buzzwords, and I keep green pumpkin, blue highlight, the deal, whatever you want to call it, that keeps popping up, and I see that almost everywhere I look. Why does that color so successful in the clear water for smallmouth? Is it the clear water? Does it look like something they eat a
I think
lot?
it
What's
looks
the
like a
deal with
goby.
that?
Like if you look at the deal, so it's got a darker back and it's got a lighter bottom, just like a lot of bait fish out there. And that blue
Yeah.
highlight, if you look at the Gajo Spirit Shad, and probably the number one color out there is that green pumpkin blue highlight belly. And so that has a lot to do with it. It's
Okay.
not my first pick,
Okay.
you know. I like the yoga pants color.
Okay.
And I like it so much that I probably buy 20-to-1 packs versus all the
Oh
other
wow.
colors because I use that many, and it's just I don't know. Um, I'm not sure.
So what if you had to choose 3 colors of the big TRD? What are you choosing?
Green pumpkin of the big TRD
Yes.
because it's for largemouth. Green pumpkin, black and blue. Man, and probably yoga pants.
Okay. Is there a difference between black and blue and yoga pants? Does that blue flake make that big of a
Well,
difference, or is that just
yeah. So I'm anti blue fleck when it comes to
hmm,
a lot of times when it comes to
okay?
smallmouth, man. I just want straight black. Uh, but the straight black, so yoga pants is kind of a translucent color. It's not a total blackout. And so that's what bothers me. I would
Okay.
much rather have a straight black
Hmm.
um, TRD, small TRD.
Sure.
What's it
Yeah.
called? Just a finesse TRD.
Gotcha. And then Dave Sheed wants to know, have you messed around with the lifted jigs? I know Owner makes one of those EWG style net heads that keep them weedless, or are you just always sticking with the exposed hook?
Um, so here's what I got going. We're going to try this right now.
Okay.
I have not found an EW. First of all, any Z-Man product, to me, and maybe I'm just weird, to me, the biggest thing when rigging these is keeping them straight.
Straight.
I don't want it crooked. And so having an exposed hook allows me to really get that bait super, super straight. I have it sometimes messed up. I see my clients after a couple casts and they won't adjust, and I'll say, hey, let me see that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And get it right. So whenever you're Texas rigging it, I think it messes up the action even more. So
Okay.
this is the new to me, the Ned Locks extra wide gap. Okay.
Yeah.
And man, that hook is a little small for this big TRD, but I'm going to try it here. And already I can see I'm having some issues. So Man, it might be better with the finesse TRD. So I can make it somewhat straight, but gosh, that when that look at the, I mean, there's not a lot between that point and that plastic for the big TRD. There's got to be a way. There's got to be somebody out there probably makes a system that's going to work good.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's a lot of companies out there that have that, but I see what you're saying. And then one thing that when you're kind of explaining through that, I remember, in Chickamauga, you just kind of talked about it with the grass earlier. You've had success while that bait is hung up. And so do you think that having that EWG, preventing those hang-ups, do you think that could take away bites from you almost?
Well, sure, because we saw that on Chickamauga. There was at least 3 situations in a tournament when I was almost giving up and that fish bit. What you didn't see is the day 1 James River, same deal. I was snagged up and I was snapping, and all of a sudden the line just went, and it was a nice one. It was probably 3.5 pounds on day 1.
Wow.
So yeah, I think it has something to do with it. Until I don't have a problem with it exposed hook at this point. So I'm good to go. So before we move on to something even better, I do want to circle back because you guys know I throw the minnows quite a bit. If you've been a patron, you've seen that one finesse show where we talked about it. But I want to share with you a new color that they came out with because I really liked Easy Money, which is kind of a green pumpkin / watermelon.
Okay.
And I love to be able to dye my tails, but of course Z-Man doesn't take dye well. Well, now they have a watermelon with chartreuse tail. Now, if only they could make this more of a green pumpkin with chartreuse and an orange tail, I'd be set. And not so much either, just a little bit less. But I think this is going to come into play as well. And I rig it on that same hook. And I'll have this tied on my boat all day long as well. Like there isn't a fishery I will not bring this out. And I am fishing this just like you would a Ned rig. I'm not swimming this through the water column. I'm throwing it in grass. I'm throwing it in rocks. I'm throwing it in wood.
So one thing, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but when you just held up that bait, the boot tail was upside down normally. Was that an accident, or do you actually rig it upside down like that?
No. I'll yeah, I do it the normal way here. Okay. This is the only so remember you asked me about the size of the jig head. I won't throw this on a 1/10. I'll throw this on a 1/5 because I want that fast fall, even if I'm in 4 feet of water, to kick that tail as it drops. And then I'm basically just banging this out of the bottom, and it stands straight up, and that tail's just flickering along there. So that's the key to this bait. Deadly. Like,
absolutely.
If you had to give me this, the big TRD and a drop shot, I would be fine anywhere in the country.
Wow.
Like, sign me up. That's all I need.
That's awesome. So last question about the big TRD before you move on. So I know you fish that bait a lot yourself. I remember you saying your co-angler kind of tried something similar in that BFL you fish. You see a lot of clients fish it. What is the number one mistake you see a novice angler make when they're fishing that bait?
Not having it perfectly straight and not keeping in contact with the bottom.
Okay.
And looking around. Not being focused on your cast. Like you have to be focused all the time with that cast. And I can't tell you how many times I see people bird watching and daydreaming while they're fishing. 80% of my success is because I'm totally focused and in contact with that bait.
Wow.
I mean, that's it. That's your secret.
That's crazy.
I can't stress it enough because I know, and I don't want to call people out. I hate doing that. I'm not going to do that, but you got to get better, man. You got to get better.
Is that something that you would say in general just separates good from great anglers, is the ability to stay focused more than 50% of the time?
You can't tell until that person's in the boat with you. You know, you can watch these pros on TV and You know, I don't know if they all have that same mindset. I'm sure a lot of them do. It's all natural. It's got to be the point where it's a natural flow, a natural rhythm with the current, with the waves. Waves kind of nice. With the current, with the waves, with the way the boat's moving, you know what I mean? You have to have that going for you. Like you have to
Yeah.
constantly be adjusting and thinking, okay, here we go. I'm going to share it.
Against his own will.
Is what it is. The giant TRD. If you ain't throwing this, you're messing up. Whew.
So is this something you might have tied on for that tournament this upcoming Saturday, or is this
Why'd
something?
you go there, bro? Come on.
Maybe not.
So this California Croix is a color that pretty much looks like a perch. Okay.
I love that color.
They have the giant TRD heads that come with this. I think that's what they're called. Mag shrooms.
Okay.
Yoga pants, green pumpkin, black and blue, California Croix. Yeah.
Are you a big proponent of? Do you ever put any super glue up there? I know you said you not really with the locks, but on those heads, do you even mess with it at all?
You know, you could. I don't find it necessary. I don't have a hard time. Yeah, this bait here is tied on all the time as well.
Okay.
And it was tied on last weekend for me.
In
my hands constantly. Okay.
Interesting.
And so I'm throwing that same deal in grass. This is more of a grass bait.
Okay.
I put it that way. I'm sure it has its time and place in heavy. I have not used it because I feel like it's a big bait. It's going to get bites. It really excels in shallow grass. And again, I'm burying that thing, I'm ripping it, and I'm dead sticking it. All right. Work it, bury it, rip it, dead. I mean, that's how you fish this bait. And cover water. Work it till you feel that grass. Shake, 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 rip. Dead stick. If you throw it like I do constantly, I don't put this thing down while I'm out there.
Yeah.
At least recently. You're going to get your bites.
One thing you talked about earlier that I think is especially important with finesse fishing, but not, I mean, it's still important for every other technique, but I think it really just shows its importance with finesse fishing is you talked about being in like full connection with that bait, having an extension. It's like that bait is an extension of your hand, and you can feel if you get like one little piece of milfoil on that hook, you can feel it and you can tell it's there. How important is that to how you fish and how you can distinguish between a snag and a bite?
You can feel, when it's a bite.
Okay.
With the right rod and braid and well, although I am throwing that on a fluorocarbon. I'm using 16-pound gamma for this one. Michael has 16, a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Why is Z-Man versus a 4 or 5-inch Cinco rigged the same way in grass? There's definitely a time and place for a Cinco.
Okay.
I feel like I can catch just as many fish with a big TRD or a giant TRD versus a Cinco now. Now, there's times when that grass is too thick to throw an exposed hook. And so you're going to want to rig like a Texas rig Cinco. And here's the cool thing. The giant TRD literally will stand up where a Cinco's going to sit there. And that's not a bad thing for a Cinco bait. Sometimes you want to disturb the bottom. But more oftentimes than not, I feel that having that bait up there like that, just shaking it and then dead sticking it, it might fall this way. And when you stop it, it's going to float up.
Sure.
Okay. And so wacky rigging this, it's a little hard. You almost have to have some type of weight, like one of them weighted Falcon hooks would work. I have not messed around with this too much because it, and we've done a video on this before, it takes a little while for that to fall.
The bottom,
And
yeah.
if you're fishing in heavy grass, sometimes it's going to get caught up too high in the water column, especially with wind and stuff like that. So if you had a little bit of weight, I think you could make it work.
Okay.
And that'll probably be one of the things I'll try here in the future. Gosh.
So does that giant TRD have the same amount of durability as the smaller ones?
Yeah, I've used one bait all day before, plenty of times. Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, I think is that factor into your decision to use that bait over the Senko at all? Is just because you can get you're not.
No, just like you were
on?
saying, man. If that was getting me more bites, I don't care.
Okay.
I'll buy 20 bags of Senkos. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Weight for the giant TRD. Good question. So, I use an 1/8, but primarily I use the 3/16 the most, especially if I'm in thicker grass. Only because I think the 1/8 is just a little too small because that is a big bait and it doesn't fall that quick. There's a lot of resistance there. And so the 3/16 seems to be the best. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I think when I get to some northern lakes, when you're fishing deeper grass, I think that 1/4 and some of the heavier sizes that they have will definitely come into play as well.
Okay. What do you use as a threshold or something to determine when that grass is too thick for the exposed hook, or is there no such thing as grass too thick for that?
No,
hook?
I think it's just once you just can't work a bait clean.
Okay.
And effectively, you got to switch, you know.
Sure thing.
And that's when I'll probably switch over to a Senko. Like I said, I have a hard time Texas rigging a Z-Man bait. Like I just don't like how it looks, and I don't think I get the right hook set per se.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Dang, there's a lot. There's a lot here that we could still go through. I can't believe we're 38 minutes into this, and we just didn't even get right there. Is all we have to do. We can end the show right here. I'm fine with it. No, we won't.
So while you searching through that pile, Brendan Andrews wants to know, have you tried the Z-Man goat yet? He said he wasn't a fan of and went back to the Rage Menace. What's your experience with that bait?
Well, we got one right here ready to go. And here's the deal with this. I've tried it on the back of a chatterbait, and I think it's an awesome chatterbait trailer. I have fished it as a Ned rig this past fall.
Okay.
I could not get the bites I was hoping for on it. So it's got to work, though. I think as a chatterbait trailer and or a swim jig trailer, yes. Maybe a heavier head. I think you need those tails kicking.
That's what I was going to ask you is, do you have to use a heavier head to get those tails to start to kick?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay. So
but this is the baby goat. Now it's probably the only one I have confidence in right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. So when you got that on the chatterbait, are you rigging it vertically to where the tails are up and down, or horizontally to where they're side to side?
No, I like it horizontally. So I just put it straight through the middle, the top. Again,
like you would Ned rig it.
Once you get it rigged right, it's fine. I don't think it has a lot of resistance, especially the baby goat on a chatterbait that I've seen. So you can kind of run true with that. All right, let's just jump into. Remember when we did that live and with Nico and everyone was like, take it down, take it down.
You were going to take it down.
Dude, that information was so good.
That was good.
And really changed my life when it comes to fishing plastics.
Wow.
And so I'm going to talk about some of the baits that I've been using. First off, and here's the deal, guys. I talked to Nico, they're going to still offer 10% on their website, SmallmouthCrush 10, and you get 10% off your order of Nico baits. And of course, I believe the Real Shot is carrying Nico a little bit more this year as well. And so if you go over there, SmallmouthCrush 15, you get 15% off. The Zaza worm. This is a worm that Eric and I just got done filming a video on under some pretty bad conditions, and we still caught them. What's cool about this, and I don't want to go over everything that they said in the live, but I just want to give you a couple things that I really like about the fact that it's just like a Z-Man plastic. It's very durable. Okay. The fact that this worm actually has a hole where we can put a rattle in, which we've been doing.
Ooh.
This will take eye a little bit better than the Z-Man, but still not good. And I fish this Nico rig, so it will take one of those Nico, one of the Z-Man Nico weights that they sell. That's what I was using for this. And then I put a little band right here, and then I just did a Gamakatsu, that weedless round bend.
Okay.
And I was fishing this in the grass and doing very well. And we also put this on a 1/10, that same TRD head, and caught fish that way. Does it replace the big TRD? I think I can achieve the same thing with the big TRD on a Ned. I guess it's a shaky, call it a shaky head at this point, right?
Okay.
I can accomplish the same thing, but I can add weight now if I really a rattle, and I think sometimes that might help a little bit.
Okay.
Colors that I've been using. So this is mud bug because it's green pumpkin, but it's got a little bit of gold in it, and then the galaxy color seems to be top choice for myself. I think this will get you some extra bites, and they're expensive. That's the only thing. But listen, these worms last. Like if you don't break off, you're not going to wreck a worm. They're very, very durable. And so I wanted to share that with you, but they surprised me with a few other baits that they make.
Okay. What you got?
I'm going to wait for the really, really exciting stuff.
Okay.
I will tell you this. The Croix, okay?
Ooh.
The Nico Croix. And this color is Eclipse. And why do I like Eclipse? Because it's a darker, but then it's got a little bit of orange on the claws, which is a killer combination. And it's not like a bright orange. It's actually translucent. You can almost see through that orange on the claws.
Mm-hmm.
I rigged this up on a 1/5 power finesse shroom set. 1/10 seems to be too slow of a fall because there's a lot of resistance with this craw. So I'm going to throw it on a 1/5. And here's full disclosure. I just started throwing it about 2 weeks ago. And when I'm guiding, I'm in the back of the boat with the remote, and I'm letting those guys get all the good spots, right? And they're throwing their baits. And I'm back there experimenting. And what I did one day was throw this on that 1/5 ounce head on a spinning rod, and I'm just chucking it, dude, in places where I've never caught a fish before. Okay.
Wow.
And holy crap, did I get the bites. And they were like, I'm eating it type of bites.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was apologizing at the end of the day. And they were like, no, man, keep going. You know what I mean? Like, they were cool. Some guys I would just stop setting the hook. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to. But they were all encouraging. And we talked about it. I go, listen, guys, believe me, I would tell you to cast here if I really thought there would have been a fish. Okay. And I'm throwing this on hard cover and grass.
Okay.
And the fish are eating it. And
That's awesome.
Going to be having this on the deck. That's why I need 32 spinning rods. I will have one of these tied on permanently this summer as well.
That's awesome.
Very durable. I used one craw and I still have it that whole day.
That's cool.
I'm talking 5-pounders, dude, out of random spots I've never caught a fish on. And the key with that was because I was really, this time of year, we're power pulled down a lot.
Yep.
We're really working areas thoroughly. And so the deal with this was, random. And then I'm just, again, this is real critical when you have to be one with the bait. You have to be that crayfish down there. So you have to make that bait act as if a crayfish would act when it gets close to structure or when you feel a little bit of hard bottom. You know, slow and then maybe some quick shakes. It's hard to explain. You got to just get into a rhythm with it.
Sure.
Yeah, dude, you got to pick some of these up. I'm telling you guys right now.
So real quick, JP Hare, I wanted to know what was the name of that Nico worm you just showed? I believe you said the Zaza. Was that right?
The worm's a Zaza.
Okay.
Don't ever say that in front of Eric because he'll keep saying Jaja Gabor or something like that. It must be from the 80s. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I don't know either.
I don't know either.
So, wow. Okay. So, going back to what you said with experimenting, I remember this was alive a while ago. You talked about how you had a co-angler, I think on the Potomac, that was throwing a Senko with like a 1 ounce weight.
Yep.
And was just, have you ever experimented with that yourself and seen any
I
success?
so that happened about 3 years ago now. I tried it the following spring. I haven't been doing that again.
Okay.
I haven't been doing that again. I actually told that story to my co-angler in the BFL. Because he was throwing the Cinco and I was jacking him like he
Yeah.
zeroed, right?
Yep.
And he's trying to like, what should I do? I'm like, well, what do you got on? He shows me he's got a 5-inch Cinco Texas rig. I'm like, well, I don't know. You maybe put a nail weight in it or something. I mean, it
Right.
looks legit to me. You know what I mean? You should be
Mhm.
able to cast that out and hook a fish. And then I told him that story about that. Another thing with Nico, and this may, here's that color again, Eclipse. They're Ned rigs. A little bit fatter than the standard TRD Ned rig. It's still going to be as durable, and it still has the floating capabilities as a normal Z-Man plastic. Used these up on the St. Lawrence recently, and we caught them good. Now, you can throw anything up there right now and catch them. So it's to be determined.
Mhm.
But I'm telling you, that's probably going to be part of the game for me this year as well.
Yeah. So what you were talking about was just right then. Sean had a question about it. So you said that's gonna be part of your game this year. So he wants to know, how do you go about he's integrating that into your rotation, and what situation are you choosing that over the Z-Man or over whatever other Ned rig you like?
Well, so that's a good question. So a lot of my goal, I think I said this on a live, public live a while ago, was I try to find 1 or 2 baits a year that I can really get behind, and I feel like I found a shit ton of them. I'm almost like, wow. I think it's once I start catching fish on a consistent basis, it's hard for me to go back to the old way until that new way fails.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So when I'm up on Lake Ontario this summer and I'm in a Ned rig situation, I'm going to be throwing that a lot. And if I start getting bites on that, I'm not going to change it up. Now, maybe if I'm on a pile of fish and they've seen that bait and I can go throw something a little different, certainly will. But what I'm sharing with you these are like, if I'm like that Nico and that worm, the Zaza worm, that still is up for discussion. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That giant TRD is not anymore. That is part of me now as an
Okay.
angler. That craw is very close to being part of me as an angler. I'm going to share with you another something here that's now part of me as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it.
A little late now.
Full disclosure. Well, it's an intimate group, so we're fine. Spot remover makes a mag head. And it's a wire keeper head. You see that?
Yep. Screw lock.
Okay. Screw lock. Yep. I've been throwing a tube on this quite a bit. And I use tubes quite a bit, exposed hook. But this is kind of allowing me to fish that tube now even more aggressively in hard structure where you get snagged a lot more with that tube. I'm talking like docks and things like that, where I would chuck that tube way back under a dock. And because it's exposed hook, it's 50-50 shot of that thing coming out. This has saved my butt a lot as far as snags go. And I think it allows to show that tube the same. Basically, that tube falls the same way with this Texas rig versus an exposed hook. So if you guys are into tube fishing, I think you need to take a look at that.
So, all right. What's your setup for that? When and why are you choosing that over the regular, other than kind of what you just said, though?
Really, it's just structure. It's being able to fish
Okay.
that exposed hook tube back to the boat a lot better.
So, are you fishing down the same, like 7-foot medium, kind of your typical?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Although it's a beefy hook.
Sure.
It's a beefy hook. Yeah. So just screw lock the tube on there and then pierce it back. Texas rig.
So Michael Bloomhagen's got another good question. He wants to know, what's your stance on drop shotting those Nico baits? He finds they're just kind of standing straight up on them. Have you experimented with that at all, or is that not something you've got your hands on yet?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that right now. Why not?
Ooh.
Well, I was going to do a Patreon advanced drop shot in the future, so this will be repeated throughout that episode. But and I'm there's one bait here that I got to show you. I have not used this yet, but I got some from Nico, and this is one of these baits where I'm really excited. The Dappy Sandworm, 3.3 inches, and there it is.
Oh.
Okay, now I thought I do have it. I'm gonna be able to get the camera on. So when I was experimenting these in the tank here, I got a size 2 drop shot hook. You're gonna have to go down to like probably a size 4, even a 6. Okay. Because I think that hook is way too overbearing on that little bait.
Sure.
But I got to show you in the tank because this is what got me going here. This was super, super exciting when I saw this. Now, you see that? Little twitches. Now, picture a smaller hook, right? Look at that thing. Finesse smallmouth fishing at its best. Am I the only one that's excited about that? Look at it just shake.
Yeah.
Now, that hook is big. That hook is too.
Sure.
But look at every time it stops, it goes down and then up because it's buoyant. You see that?
Yeah.
Like,
dang.
I will bust up a bunch of smallmouth on that bait this coming this summer.
I believe it.
I promise you that.
So before we get too far away from it, do you got a tube sitting around that you could rig up on that head that you were just talking about?
I see John's pressuring me on that. I wanted to just move on. God. Yeah, I can do that.
Awesome. And then, yeah, John wants to know, you ever tried that tube in the deeper water in the Susquehanna for suspended fish?
No, I haven't dealt with suspended fish much.
Okay.
On the Susquehanna. I'm sure there is. I just don't deal with them. All right. Yeah, John, we'll talk later, buddy. All right, so I just screw that tube on. Pop it through just like so. And just like Sean was saying, just there you go.
It's like a shaky head bait. Any other? Pretty simple.
That's it.
Awesome. So Brian Davis has another one for you. So he wants to know, so you're fine with that Nico bait standing straight up. He thought that was why you didn't drop shot with the Z-Man products.
Okay, good. That's a good question. So with that setup, I'm gonna have a short lead instead of like a foot or 2 foot. Okay. I'm gonna have that bait looking like it's just scooting on the bottom. I'm talking maybe an inch or 2 from my drop shot weight. I would not. Yeah, and he's got a good point. He listens to the channel here. What are those called? I got them somewhere here. The trick shots, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the things I don't like about that is it stands straight up. Now, during the spawn, though, and for largemouth, I love that approach. I love a floating worm. And so I was just blown away with the flexibility of that small plastic, from Nico, and rigging it on a small drop, I think just off the bottom quivering, because there's no way I can put that on a Ned head.
Yeah.
At all.
Sure.
So that's kind of my reasoning. Like I said,
I
haven't tested it yet.
Gotcha.
All right, now I'm going to share with you the big one. This is the one that got me so fired up, I can't even stand it. I got it rigged up right here. I'm going to share.
Okay.
So there's two theories on this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Nico. I don't even know what it's called. It's that squid thing.
Okay.
The 3.5, and they make a 2.5. I really can't. It's all in Japanese. Do you know what that is?
You got to lift it up a little higher. But yeah, no clue. I can see the bait. I see the thing, but
they talked to us
I'm
about it on the live stream, and I was like, damn, I'm going to pick these up.
Looks good.
Dude, it's not even like for freshwater fishing, I don't think. I'm going to show you what this thing looks like on a Z-Man Ned Locks. Here it is. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Look at the strands on that. I'm gonna show this
that thing in the tent. Yeah.
You see this? You guys are all gonna be like, damn. Because that's I freaked out, dude. I literally freaked out when I saw this. Here we go. This will be the game changer for me. Huh?
That's crazy.
Dude. Come on. Do you see that? Think about the current, dead sticking in the current.
Oh my gosh.
And those tentacles. Look at how that hook is perfect. Like it's meant to be.
That is, yeah. I guarantee you will probably be one of the only people at the lake throwing that thing, and you will be.
Yeah.
I mean, that still has a pretty big profile, too, for being such a small. I mean, those are some long tentacles.
It does. It really does. Like it.
These comments are funny. So I remember on that Nico show, too, you talked about, I believe it was a tadpole. You said you'd had some success with that as well in the past. Is that something you've messed around with at all this year? Or is that, have you been having more success on the squid there?
So this, I have not thrown this yet.
Okay.
I threw it right here. I threw it yesterday and blown away by that. Yeah, the tadpole's a good bait as well. We're going to talk about that in another upcoming one, advanced drop shotting for sure. But that is that's another bait that I use quite a bit.
Yeah.
So this is the 3.5. Okay. And this fits perfectly with the Z-Man Ned Locks as a Ned shaky, whatever you want to call it. So it's just like it's almost like a tube, but it's not. Like it's got nothing. There's nothing else like it.
That's right.
And so I think that's why I'm not going to make I know I'm going to catch him on this thing. I know it's going to be something that's going to work. So I feel comfortable sharing with a smaller group like this. But I'm telling you guys, if you want to try something crazy and different, that would be something I mean, you saw it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to blow your mind again.
Ooh.
We just got to get them to make a little bit better colors. Now, that's kind of a dull smoke gray.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Now, this 2.5-inch squid, what do you think I'm going to do with that? You know it. Again, the drop shot hook is a little overbearing, but I do want to show what this thing looks like here in the tank, because this really intrigues me here, guys. So look at that on the drop shot. I'm going to try to get a little bit better here. You see that thing?
Absolutely.
Why not, right?
I mean, I exactly what you said. Why not? I mean, that's got to look like so. Do you think that's kind of one of those baits that doesn't look like anything specific? It just kind of looks a little bit like everything.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Who's throwing that? Very few people. Now, again, that hook is a little big for that.
Yeah.
This is a small bait. But dang, I love how when you drop it, it falls and then it bounces up, floats up to the length of the leader. That's what I really like about that. And just the current. Whatever turbulence you have down there, man. You don't have that. There's times you should not move a drop shot and you got to dead stick it. And that's going to be a key deal for me. Fishing these clear bodies of water for smallmouth. And so again, am I going to put that on video? Heck no.
So Sean wants to know, what's the longest you're going to use for a leader, and then what's the shortest you'll use for a drop shot leader?
Yeah, I mean, come on, Sean.
Advanced drop shot class?
8 foot is the longest, probably.
Oh my gosh.
An inch the shortest. But generally speaking, especially for that bait, I think that smaller right off the bottom, I think is key. So I wouldn't want one of them long cylinder looking, let's say it's deep water. I'm using the 1/2 or 5/8 ounce.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want that big shiny drop shot weight sitting down there. I may try that first on like a 1/2 ounce round or teardrop in like flat black or something and experiment that way with it. Yeah, Sean, I said 8 foot. There's certain situations. It's hard to cast an 8 foot drop shot. Lake Erie, over some of the humps that come up. Fish were suspended. That was the only, back in the day when I used that technique, that was the only way we really could catch them. It's a messed up way to cast it. It's more straight down, but
yeah.
And it's really when I work like a wacky rig Cinco and it's calm. That's when I'll throw on like a 6 or 8 foot lead, because I can use a super heavy weight like a 3/4 and keep that bait right where I want it. Example, over some type of vertical structure. Okay, which means what? Buoys, bridge pilings, things like that. And I want that Cinco to fall and then lift it up, lift it up in that same area.
So you're basically making that Senko fall multiple times, and then in the same spot where everybody else is only making it fall once, then they're out there. You're pumping it up. You're doing 4 or 5 more times what they're doing. So it makes a lot of sense. Might have to check that one out.
Now, it's not every day I got that tied on, but it does work.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one for you guys. Everyone's throwing Senkos in the grass. Okay. OSP, Japanese, expensive, not durable. Save these for tournament day, okay?
Sure.
This is the Do Live stick. The Do Live stick, 4.5 inch. They make smaller ones, bigger ones. But I will basically Texas rig this with a 4/0 Gamakatsu extra wide gap light wire hook. And I'm going to chuck this anywhere you would throw a weightless or a nail-weighted Senko, 5-inch Senko. And I would work that through grass, things like that. It has a quiver motion as it's falling.
Sure.
And this thing catches fish. Now, they're hard to find. They're hard to come by. A lot of times it's eBay and it's overseas. It's stuff like that. But the Do Live stick is legit. They just don't come out all the time for me. But places like a big grass flat where you have a lot of people throwing stick baits and things like that, giving them a little bit different look can sometimes help you get a couple more bites. That's really what it's all about, is getting a couple more bites than the other guy. I mean,
Sure.
and staying concentrated on what you're doing.
Absolutely.
But that's the deal there. What else do we got? So, and I want to ask everybody's opinion here. So on the upper bay, I'm going to stick with green pumpkin or that black and blue laminate there for colors. Nisheen. What is this? The Namazu? It's like a catfish. See the front?
Yeah.
Wide head. This is a super soft but thick plastic. And it's got a real small tail that's got a little pintail in the back. And it's not a high float at all. This thing sinks like a rock. Okay. But again, sometimes you want that bait to crawl on the bottom. And I know bass eat catfish.
Yeah.
Or this kind of resembles a goby. Now, would I throw this for smallmouth? I don't. Man, maybe I'm missing the boat. I'm thinking more of putting this on a shaky head or a Texas rig with like a 1/16 ounce weight and kind of dragging that around down there. I don't know if you guys have thrown this before.
I've never even heard of it, but I mean, I see what you're saying. Maybe a little catfish, a little goby. It wouldn't see why it wouldn't work, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Is there one type of forage or something just out of the ordinary that you think bass eat a lot that not many people think about, like mayflies or something like that?
I honestly, I think it's catfish.
Okay.
It's I think they eat those little baby catfish a lot. Man, I don't know if you ever seen, or bullheads. Like, it's crazy if you ever seen I don't know if they make like beds or they little holes and stuff like that. But you'll have all these little black baby catfish and you'll have the mom just chilling and like corralling them right all over the place. I definitely think they snack on those a little bit. That would be something a little out of the ordinary when it comes to bait fish for sure.
Yeah.
But that would be. I think that's a legit deal. That's something I want to try. But really, to sum it up, guys, what super excited about was that Nico squid deal. Okay, the 3.5 on the Z-Man Ned locks, or that 2.5 drop shot. That this sandworm that we showed in the tank. I know some guys are either going to get it or they're not. You know what I mean? Like when I saw it, I got it right away. I think it's a super finesse. There's so much, I guess, action to that plastic that you got to fish it slow, and it's probably got to be in really clear water, and you have to have the confidence that there's some fish around.
Sure.
But those fish will find that bait. You know what I mean? They'll just suck it up. They'll just be swimming by. I think it's one of those baits that they're not going to resist. But it takes a lot to fish this thing in 40 feet of water and 5 foot waves when it's 3.3 inches and skinnier than you can believe. And you got to use a small little hook.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be trying it.
Sure.
I'll be trying it for sure.
I don't blame you. So that little story you're telling just reminded me of a question I had for you. So you did that video with Kyle about boat positioning, and you guys were standing there, you had the spot lock on, and my question was, how in the heck did you do that without a spot lock trolling motor? Or did you not even bother to try to do that without, before they had that spot lock technology and all the trolling
back
motors?
in the day, yeah, that would have been hard. Actually, what we would have done, I guess I could share with you that. Why not, man? Never before seen on a live. I'm going to show you what you do, bro.
Okay. Getting interesting now. It's interesting you say that, Slump Gumpy. I know a lot of people, they've caught bass with snakes in them. There's all kinds of stuff. So there's really no telling what they do eat. I think everyone just kind of has a general idea of what they eat most of the time, but I'm sure there's plenty of undiscovered frontiers of stuff that hasn't been discovered before. So that would be interesting to see if anyone finds any more gold mines like that, I guess.
All right, John's got it. This is the crate. It's in a
Oh,
blanket. Now listen, it's not just any ordinary anchor that you throw out. Now I take this with me to every smallmouth event. Have I
okay.
had to use it in recent years? No. But let me tell you something. If you get on a pod of fish way offshore, like a pod, like you don't have to go anywhere else. You just drop the bait over the side of the boat. But if you're in 6, 8, 10-foot waves, your anchor lock isn't going to hold you even.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need 100-foot rope. This might be hard to get out here. And there's only a handful of anchors that will really work. This is a Richter anchor.
Okay.
And but there's a certain way to set this up because you're dealing with big waves. Okay. You're dealing with dangerous situations, right? You really are. So this is a 50-pound, I believe it's 50-pound Richter anchor. Now that's why I have it in a crate as well as a blanket because you don't want this thing banging around in your compartment. Okay. You have to secure this thing down. You got to use chain. So you have to have about 2 feet of chain. That's going to help keep that anchor in place. And now there's a way to position the boat. You just don't toss it out. Okay. You move up on your, past your target. You slowly drop this down. I have 100 feet of anchor rope, and in 30 feet of water, I'm going to use all that 100 feet if I'm in that deep water. And so you want to make sure you throw it out there, and you want to get stuck in that rock. Sometimes it's hard to get it stuck on the bottom, hard bottom. One nice thing about this Richter is it allows you to hopefully once you get stuck, it stays.
Okay.
And now you just let the line out to your area that you want to fish.
Sure.
And when you want to leave, you have to fire up the big motor and you have to grab it, and you kind of come at past it just like you would get a snag out of a lay down, right?
Sure.
And that chain and the way this anchor is designed, once you get it back, it'll actually roll that anchor back over and allow you to get it out. But that's when that's when you would want to use something like that. And I would love for the day when I have to bring that bad boy out because game over, right?
Right.
Especially, it's not something that, you have to be, you got to be on fish. It's not something you want to deal with, even making a run. Let's say you mess up and the fish aren't there. Well, okay, you're going to have an hour to get to your next spot in those waves. So you got to have it dialed in. And so I try to remember on any big water event to bring that along.
Okay.
Not that I'll ever need it. I might not use it for another 4 or 5 years.
Right.
But it's there if I need it.
So Sean wanted to know, so you said it was a Richter anchor. Is that the style of the anchor? Or
That's
the
a brand name, and they might not even be in business anymore. I have no idea. I've had that thing for years.
Okay.
There's one on the bottom of Lake Champlain. That's mine. I do know that. I did use it in a tournament once, and something happened. We couldn't grab the rope in time or something.
You ever had any issues with, I know how you said that chain kind of helped gets it unstuck, but have you had any issues with getting it down there and not being able to get it back up?
No. The way that anchor's designed, it actually flips and rotates it back over, and so it allows you
cool.
Like that thing will dig in. That'll keep your bass boat in pretty big waves.
Okay.
You just don't want to, you have it in your truck, and then if you think you're going to need it, like I said, you got to secure that thing down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's with Kyle and I that day. And we did another live with that. The reason why I kicked his butt and I didn't show all the footage, I was using that Crusties, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I edited that out in most of the video because it was to the public. But
so what was the other question?
That's the backstory on that.
Oh yeah, so that other video you put out, I think it was the last one, was that Salmo crankbait video, and you kept saying throughout the video, I want to try this on the bay. I want to try this on the bay. Mm-hmm. So have you tried those out on the bay yet?
I have not. So my crankbait window on the bay is pre-spawn and then summer.
Okay.
And so right now, I'm not doing a whole lot of cranking,
Gotcha.
but I think those salmos will come into play for sure for largemouth. It has to. It has to.
I
I
believe you.
was really impressed with them, and just the quality of smallmouth that we caught, and we used it. I mean, we didn't film everything, but we caught quite a few throughout the day and throughout the next couple days on that
Mm-hmm.
up there. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And Sean, same with that Crusties. I'm just using that Z-Man Nedlocks 1/10 normally.
Sure thing. So you said you're going back to Wisconsin here in a couple weeks to fish a Wisco event. Is that just the
Yep.
regular 5 fish? Is that a
No, that's
head to
yeah.
head?
So no, the head-to-head schedule didn't work out for me. So that's just
Okay.
a regular 5 fish. It's going to be the last remaining spawning fish type of tournament. It'll be
Okay.
one doing that. So fingers crossed. I get 3 or 4 good days. Hopefully, I get some good weather, and I'll just devote those days to looking for 5 good ones on beds, and hopefully, I can
Yeah.
get to them in the event. Um, if it's a little, if weather conditions don't line up for me, um, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I have a good shot if they're going to still be some remaining last wave big old males still guarding fry, which I
Okay.
should be able to find. I might have to make a long run for these fish,
Sure.
but I'm excited for it. It's never easy. I want to go back home to have a vacation and just chill and hang out with my buddies, and I find myself spending 3-4 days practicing now for a tournament. So
Yeah.
that's all right.
It's part of the addiction, I guess. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Grat84 said he did his first Lucky Go Fish tournament. Are you planning on doing any more of those this year?
Man, I put the ruler in the rod coffin today, just in case.
Okay.
I don't ever want to be without one. I don't know what the schedule is. I'm going to look. If it lines up, I certainly will do those again. Those are
Sure.
fun. Those are where you weigh you measure your fish.
Yeah.
It's through the use of a phone app, and so you're competing against different guys in different regions. And yeah, I've won a few. I've done well in every one that I fished, so it's fun.
Absolutely. So, yeah, Brendan Andrews saying it's been really warm there in Minnesota, so he thinks all the lakes and stuff are ahead of schedule. Certainly, it's been an interesting weather year. I feel like in my area we had a late spring, and I think a lot of down south they were a little later getting to it. So, kind of interesting to see how this year all worked out.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about the Great Lakes is there's always fish in June still on beds somewhere. And
Just gotta find them.
even though it's not maybe the big females, there's still going to be you still can have a 24 to 26 pound bag of those old males, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Those 15-year-old males that are just going to hang out on that bed for an extra week for some
Mm-hmm.
reason.
So if you were to get lucky and find those females that would go along with those old males, is that when you're hitting your 30 pounds plus type bags?
Yeah, that's more pre-spawn that
Okay.
you're going to see those bags. That's a stretch. That'll be a
Yeah.
stretch for June for sure.
So is it a 1 day, 2 day event?
Yeah, it's just a Sunday singles
Okay.
event. There'll be a good 100+ boats in it of all the
Yeah.
studs from the Bay of Green Bay. So I'm gonna be fishing against guys that are out there every day right now. But
Yeah.
it's fun, something to do.
Sure thing. So Brian Davis got another good question. So have you messed around with that Rabbit Baits Ned worm that has the marabou in the
Yeah,
tail at all?
yeah. So I actually made a video about that. We're gonna have Rabid Baits on probably in the future here on one of these live streams to talk about their little lineup of baits. I did catch them. I was pretty impressed with them. I haven't used their goby or their worms yet, but their Ned worm passed the test. I actually made a video about it, talking about it, which will be. I'd like to release it just prior to them coming on the live stream. I haven't followed up with those guys yet, but
Okay.
we'll get them on here at some
Yeah,
point.
sure.
Talk
And
about
then
their baits.
that just brought up another question I had for you. So how far along, how close are we to the Beast Coast Ned head? I know you gave an update on that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So we have the prototype. What happened was that the head wasn't right. The
Okay.
Z-Man trailers would not work. So we had to go back to the drawing board. I actually got a text from him today. Should have the final revamped samples by me on Friday. We'll finalize the stickers. Retooled mold done next week, which was on May 18th. And then he sent this. So, yeah, it looks like we're a week or two away. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Glad to hear that. So, Grat84, you mentioned this in your video, your boat breakdown video. That kind of surprised me too. So, he's saying he's getting ready to make the switch to lithiums. On a live a while ago, you said you're done with the lithium. So, what made you change your mind? Is it he just wants to know what's the thought process?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So, I thought about this long and hard because I was with Lithium Pros. I had those batteries in my boat since 2015, and I was like getting to the point where I don't want to, even if they weren't failing on me, I didn't want it to happen. Like, I'm now 4 boats deep using the same lithiums. And I was approached by other lithium companies during that time frame, and my research just showed that those batteries were not up to what they should be, as far as just a lot of failures and issues.
Yeah.
You see that there's a lot of batteries on the market right now, and everyone's got their own favorites. And unfortunately, this is one of those cases where buying a cheaper battery, because I mean, you can get some lithiums now for $600, $700, $800, right? And they're marketing it, and everyone's on their pro staff because that's their marketing plan to build crappy batteries that you're going to have issues with. I've seen it too many times. I've talked to the people at the service yard, even the top pros that are running these off-brand companies that are trying to make it are having issues. I promise you, there's elite guys that have lost their elite event because of their lithium batteries. That's fact.
Crazy.
Okay. And so just doing the general research, I was that guy that was going to spend $800 on a battery. I'm not going to spend $2,500. You know what I mean? And so I was like, well, it doesn't make sense for me to have those issues. Let's just stay with AGMs. And when I got to the point where I was going to make the switch, I called Lithium Pros to kind of, first of all, ask them about what's the deal with these batteries. I've had them in my boat since 2015. Should I keep doing it? And they're like, should be good to go. But I didn't want to take that chance with all these events and fishing the Northern Opens, things like that.
Yeah.
And so that conversation with the gentleman from Lithium Pros really changed my mind and got me thinking. And that's when I decided to stay with lithium, but upgrade, run all lithiums.
Yeah.
And have a complete package that's going to keep me worried free and on the water.
Yeah.
And to this day, between Lithium Pros and that Power Pole Charge, I know it's pricey, 0 issues.
I mean, but it's kind of what you pay for it. Just have that peace of mind. You don't have to worry about it. It's not in the back of your mind all day. You just plug it, like you say, you just plug it in and you go.
For the casual angler that's hitting the water 2-3 times a week, I think those other off brands, they'll probably work for them.
Sure.
I just did not want to take that chance.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Because they are the best built. They have the best technology. They've been in the game the longest. It's all built right there in Knoxville, Tennessee. Yes, the lithium comes in from out of the country, but everything's built and sourced right there.
Yeah. And
they know what they're doing when it comes to batteries. And they could, they have they could start in the coolest. A lot of these batteries are not going to start when you get those 30-degree mornings, or they're going to have some battery failure with that.
Okay.
Something to keep in mind. Runtime and charge cycles as well with Lithium Pros is what I've seen to be the best. So
sure thing.
So there you go, guys. So this was good. I'm glad I'm glad I got these secret baits off my chest for now. And listen, it's not secret, guys. It's all about how you throw them and where you throw them and the confidence in throwing them. But like I said, I don't think you can go wrong with those top 3 baits that we went right off the bat with. David has a question about Cortland. Yeah, dude, I just put another order into Cortland today. their 5-8 pound braid, high vis as well as black, has been working great for me. They're braid for flipping, although I haven't done a whole lot of flipping and pitching and frogging, but I use their God, I can't think of the name. Stealth, I think it is for
The silent, I think
the
silent flip.
silent flip for flipping and stuff. That's been working good. But their regular braid has been I'm real happy with it. No issues, and I keep telling you, it's almost better than Power Pro. Like, I would not be able to tell the difference, and I think Power Pro is a great braid. You guys know that. I've been using Power Pro for years.
Sure.
They're right there with them, if not better.
That's
and I
awesome.
like the fact that their yellow stays yellow, so far.
Okay. Yeah. So Waves Current tonight's got another good one real quick. So on the Chris Zaldain podcast, do you agree with them saying that smallmouth don't like the bluff walls but prefer the humps where they can see 360 degrees around them?
I agree with that statement, but I don't think that's like
cut and dry.
Yeah, for sure. I can see his point. I don't remember him saying that. I filmed that back in March or January. So I got
a while ago.
I'll have to rewatch this stuff. But a lot of positive comments coming from that last episode.
Mm-hmm.
They've all been really good. I'm actually starting to get back. I'm getting nervous because I know how much time flies.
Getting towards then.
I'm good until Curtis Richardson is October 5th, and then I run out.
Okay.
So I got to get my butt back in gear. Gotta get back in gear.
For the people that don't know, in the winter, he was doing like 10 to 12 of those a week. I mean, you were grinding them out, sometimes 3 or 4 a day. But you had a full schedule, so I certainly don't blame you for not remembering every detail.
Yes. I do have to get. I will tell you this, Zaldain. From what I remember, I did buy a bunch of baits because I got them right up here and I'm looking at them. And I do have a rod devoted to that bait.
Okay.
Which is what? The Spark Shad? Is that what he was talking about, I believe?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I did buy the jig heads from, is it Santone?
Oh, yeah. He's with Santone. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I got those jig heads. I'm ready to go. So, So guys that want to know, I'll kind of go down the quick list here for you of who's coming up. So Michael Simonton will be next. Lenny Devos, Lucarelli, Justin Lucas, David Chong, Joe Raymond, Derek Strube, JP DeRose, Joe Fonzie, Larry, Ryan Said, Heath Wagner, Seth Fighter, Josh Bertrand, Simon Frost, Curtis Richardson, Chris Knopfsinger. Trying to get a hold of Art Ferguson, Dean Meek still. I want Ben Nowak on here. Paul Mueller, we're working on him. One of the lenders needs to be on here, Chad Pipkins, and a few others. So what are we going to do next year for the podcast? I can't just stop.
Right.
But damn, I don't know what to do.
I know. You talked with Eric. You had some good ideas. I certainly think there's a lot of different avenues you could go with it, but I think I kind of like the ideas you had with him. It's just, it's going to be it's of course doing 52 episodes. It's not the most logistical, easy thing to get done, but
set the hook. I reached out to Zona. I reached out to Joe Booker.
There's a lot of, there's probably 10 or 12 guys we reached out to that you just never heard from.
Yeah. Only guy that turned us down was one of the Johnston brothers. Yeah. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm trying.
And then, there was a couple people that they would, even when I'd reach out to them, they'd be like, yeah, sure. And then the day or two before, they're like, oh, something came up, and they never get back to you. So there's a couple of those too. But.
Yeah, they're really, if you look at the list of guys that really there isn't anyone. I think it would be cool to get Zona, but I know I sent him. You emailed him too, right?
I sent it to him, and he said, I don't remember what exactly. It was something like that. Mofo kept me up all night at the Classic or something like that. So he just said he didn't want to do it. I believe that's what he said.
We'll get him on. Get him on. I know Mercer's coming on as well. So I think it'll be, The lenders might be hard. I mean, I talked to Al about it. He's just been
Well,
really busy.
I
I
think,
got to
yeah,
circle back this fall, you know.
there was a couple, like, I think you talked to him right when his brother was having a hard time, and Chad Pipkins was another one. His dad had just passed away. So we just really met a couple of guys at some poor times. And then a lot of them, too, like some of the elite guys, you'd get to them and they're like, well, I'm heading down to the St. Johns River tomorrow, so it's a no-go. And, you know, they're all picking up their season. So there's certainly be a couple people we'll be able to get here towards the fall.
But it's true, man. The competition out there as far as things to watch in the fishing industry and guys getting on board with all this stuff is like crazy. I couldn't imagine starting right now.
You couldn't. I don't think you could.
It would be hard.
It'd be tough.
It would be. I got in at kind of the last, you know, I've been at this now almost 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's been crazy. I mean, crazy how time flies. But yeah, it's hard, man. There's so much content out there.
There is. Saturated market.
Yes. Got to try to differentiate yourself, I guess. I mean, unfortunately, I have a guy like Eric that we can kind of play off of each other. And I think we have some exciting things planned moving forward, but you know, who knows? We'll try.
Absolutely. A lot of stuff in the work. And guys, we want to thank everyone supporting the channel tonight. Patreon's a huge help. We're glad you tuned in. We love your questions. We love the feedback, and just keep it coming. We're all very appreciative of all the fans that tuned in tonight. So thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys, have a good night. We'll see you next Monday. What do we have on the schedule for next Monday?
I wasn't aware there was still a schedule. I just show up every Monday.
I know. My plan is to start getting the schedules back on. Okay, real quick, because I think there's something. Okay, so we have a random live, and then the week of the 14th, June 14th, we're going to miss that Monday live due to I have a late flight back from the Classic. That's all.
Gotcha.
And then I will be live from the Real Shot the third week in June. And then the 28th of June, so only a month away, is another Patreon, which I'm going to try to get real creative with. And I guess that just means I don't have a good topic yet, but we'll find one. I promise. So far, I think. Let me know in the comments, you guys. You guys appreciate this stuff? I think it's been pretty good. It's just been it's been hard juggling everything, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. All right, guys. Everyone have a good night. Have a great week of fishing, and we'll talk everyone next week, Monday, as well as we got some really cool videos coming up here on the channel, just random fishing videos. I got like 10 in the works. I'm probably going to start out with the Roland Martin teaser video.
Okay.
And then I got to get into the James, as much as I don't want to relive that tragedy. I got 2 practice videos and then the actual tournament itself. And they're pretty entertaining. They're longer. They're about 30-minute videos, but you kind of get to see behind the scenes, and you get to hang out with the guys, and actually, you know, we make you feel like you're there, even though it didn't end quite as well as I'd like. But looking forward to getting those out. Awesome. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
See you.